Hello, guys. Welcome. Come in, come in. Happy Tuesday. We've got a great show tonight, a very important show. We've got two special guests, Aaron Alexander and Joe Preston, and I'll bring them in just a second. But tonight we're going to be talking about a movement that's called, for academia, they're calling it queering childhood. It's really a thing. And I think, if you're in North Carolina, you've heard Mark Robinson talk about this. You've heard a ton of parents talking about inappropriate concepts being introduced in the schools. But you're going to hear tonight from the perspective of men. We're going to bring them into the conversation as well. Other men, right, besides our lieutenant governor. So this is just one example. This came out today. Unfortunately, parents, filed a lawsuit after their 12-year-old sadly tried to commit suicide twice because she had several sessions with Miss Washington up here, who happens to be a school counselor, who, according to the lawsuit, tried to coax her into changing her gender. So we're seeing this in North Carolina and other places via surveys and other things, which is totally inappropriate. We all agree. What happened to parental rights? It's the students, the parents have the rights to do this, right? And check this out. This just came out in Newsweek. I believe this is about a year ago. Nearly 40% of U.S. Gen Zs and 30% of young Christians identify as LGBTQ. So there's something going on here. It's a cultural phenomenon. And we know that if it's being taught in school, if it's accepted in school, that is a big part of it, right? Is this grooming? And I'm going to proffer a lot more evidence than this, that it's happening. We've got actually, and this is by no means the exception, I believe it's becoming the rule. This is from Orange County, North Carolina. This is one school district here, and you will see that the school district plans to deceive parents if the children change their gender in the midst of a school year. So this is a coordinated plan, a coordinated, really, attack on our children. Again, children, I mean, we all agree that they're minors. This kind of stuff is completely inappropriate. Later on in the show, I'm going to show you questionnaires that absolutely hammer children into admitting that they're gay. And since Joe Preston's going to be on tonight, I'm going to, Joe, I'm going to show you something from Johnston County right quick, right here. This is from Johnston County. This is a classroom exercise. In other words, this is something that's shared with the class, guys. This isn't, go off on your own and do it. How do you describe your gender, your identity? Do you identify as transgender? It goes on and on and on. And then later it gives specific lessons. Let me see if I can pull this up. Specific lessons on this. Again, it asks, what's your gender? What's your age? LGBTQ means pertaining collectively to people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, but it's more than that. So they're actually proselytizing this. And then they go on to say, how many people do you know that are gay, non-binary, transgender? How many sexual orientations do you think there are? How many genders do you think there is? So it's just asking the same damn questions with a different proposition, right? Do you believe that people in the LGBTQ community deserve rights? And it's about 20 questions like that. This is Johnston County, which is kind of a suburb, but kind of a rural area. It's being done all over the country. This what you just saw, you guys. It's an open exercise. What I'm talking about is something that's discussed with the class. We're adults. We can handle being canceled, right? Can you imagine being a 14 or a 15-year-old who is bombarded with this stuff at school? The pressure to conform must be enormous. So I'm going to bring on Aaron Alexander, who is his family.
Hey.
Welcome back, my friend.
Always happy to be here. Always love the conversations. Love what you guys are doing. I'm glad that it's still going, and it seems like the team's getting bigger, better, stronger, more efficient. So really proud of everything.
Absolutely. Aaron, you've been with us really from the beginning. We had this idea where it was last January 6th where we came together and said, you know what? who is really looking under the hood of education and making sure that there is true equality of opportunity in the state for education? And now tell us what you're doing.
So now I am working with Blexit. Well, I was working with Blexit already. I've now taken over the student movement. So that's within the grassroots organization of Blexit. And we're out here trying to start chapters. We're teaching students about financial literacy, the history of the country, how to vote, and just really just trying to make sure that they get the civics that they're not getting in schools and going out being informed voters.
Well, there's no time for civics when you're learning about all of this stuff and being hammered with it. We've always talked about this, and you'll talk a little bit more, I'm sure, about the fact, because it is a fact, that boys are being completely feminized, completely emasculated in schools. Your belief is that it's aimed predominantly at Black males. And so I want to really flesh that out with you as the conversation goes on.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. I definitely think that all men in the country are being targeted. They're like trying to beat us over the head with feminism and being soft or being more agreeable, even though we know that's not really the best place for a man. We need to do things with our hands, and we need to, sometimes we need to fight things out. Men generally are just more comfortable with the idea of hierarchy. But I mean, when you look at the Black community, it's so now becoming ingrained. You look at BLM, and everything that they do is not just about Black Lives Matter, but it's about supporting and bringing up Black trans people, the Black LGBT allies. And so, when you have that, you have within the Black community, gay men are super popular with the women. They might not be dating the women, but you get so much more attention. There's like a benefit to it socially. So when you look at all those things, then you can definitely see that men are trying to be feminized, or they're trying to feminize men more so. But
Yep.
I think that there's still a lot of hope. I see some pushback, especially with the younger men. They're kind of like, this is weird, this is stupid, and they're what's the word? Homophobic is a big thing with Black men, and so apparently Black men are more homophobic than others. So I mean, there's still hope that the feminization isn't working,
Yeah.
but we definitely still we got to do more.
Yeah, no, I've always agreed with you. And look, I mean, there's no truth telling tonight or otherwise. I want you all to know this, because we are going to tell you how to fight back tonight. We absolutely are. There's no truth telling that is off limits. Never be ashamed to be candid. And when you're talking about truth telling in general, there's no truth that's immoral or wicked to say. It's the motives for telling that truth that need to be examined when you look at the morality of a supposed mean statement, right? What we're trying to do is speak the truth, and we need to speak it loudly and boldly and forcefully, because everyone your fellow man needs to hear you saying these things in the public square to know, A, they're not alone, B, they're not crazy, and C, just as you said, there's hope. It is our responsibility to speak the truth as often as we can. So I'm going to bring in Joe Preston. You're in Johnston County. What do you think of what I just showed you? You're a dad. You're very active in the Holding School Responsible movement. What do you think about that?
Well, what I think about it is what probably most people think about it. Who is, first off, what was the age group that survey was handed out to?
Middle school.
Middle school. Mm-hmm. So I have a 12-year-old daughter. And I just saw that, the first story that you showed was a 12-year-old daughter tried to commit suicide twice because of her interactions with a counselor, and, kind of being forced on this narrative that she might be something that she's not. It's common sense what everybody should be thinking about these types of things. Whose business is it to ask these children what they think that they are. What gender are you? What are you talking about? I mean, how many genders do you think that there are? These children are not allowed to serve in our military. They're not allowed to get a driver's license. They can't get a beer. But we're going to ask them extremely complex, I mean, crazy questions like this. I mean, I don't understand why the school even needs to know this. What does it have to do with learning about photosynthesis? What does it have to do with learning about algebra or how to read Shakespeare? What does that have to do with anything? So that would be my first question. Where is it in the curriculum of the school that they need to know this information to try to teach the children what they're supposed to be teaching them so that one day they can graduate and be a pillar of society? And what right does the school have to even collect that information? That is nobody's business but that child's and that child's family. And the fact that that's in Johnson County schools, and I'd love for you after this to tell me where, like, if that is a county-wide survey they went out. I assume it's part of
No, it was a.
I think you showed this the other night. Yeah.
Right. And so, Joe, this comes from kindergarten. So this is in Moore County. This is in a kindergarten class.
Yeah. So what kindergarten? I'm sorry. I'm just going to cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slow, because that's what I do.
Aaron's like,
look at that sex circle down there. Kindergartners are 5 years old. Unless you got held back a grade, you're 6. I don't care what age you are. I mean, come on. What is that? What are the attraction with the heart? What is a 5-year-old kid attracted to other than puppies? I mean, this is identity. They don't know what they can't even. I mean, they don't know what 1 + 1 is at this point. And so, the overarching principle here, I think, is why was somebody paid to even make this chart? It's obvious these kids don't know.
Well,
They're
this is the
creating
thing.
something here, and it's absolute horse hockey. And part of my language, it pisses me off.
This is the thing when we're looking at like the whole transgender or even the LGBT issue. You can't have kids that way. So the way that it works is while regular people are reproducing and they're passing on their ideas to their kids, they don't have that opportunity. They have to go take other people's kids. And so that's where the public school system and the state really comes in, because now if you can infiltrate the state, you can now take these kids from whatever age group, and they're working back younger and younger. I remember when I was in high school, they brought the GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance, like my sophomore or junior year. I mean, now it's all the way down in elementary school. And so they're using the state to teach children these ideas because they don't naturally have the ability to teach their own children. They don't have their own children.
But Aaron, if I may, I will tell you that we have a number of gay parents in our coalition, and I want to tell you what they think. They are disgusted. They're pissed, but nobody will give them a platform to speak. They'll let us talk about it. No one will give them a platform to speak. They abhor what's going on, and I'll tell you why. I want everybody to know a couple things. I had to write them down because I wanted to make sure that I got with you on this. You're going to hear a lot of things, but about this, we've already been trolled about this. Look, there is a movement to steal the innocence of children. You've got to steal the innocence of children before you turn them into soldiers. So that's number one. Number two, you will tell and you will stand firmly. You will not erase women. That's what's happening. But I'll tell you another thing. Gay people don't like the transgender movement in general, in particular in schools. You know why? It also erases gay people. What's wrong with being gay if that's what you choose? But if you're grooming them into transgenderism, they don't have the opportunity to be gay. Now, I'm not going to go into, a moral argument. I'm just telling you that gay people do not like this at all. So don't feel like we're the Lone Rangers. And another thing, and I want everybody to know this, what they're doing is they're exploiting gay youth. Why? Because they're telling us that, and I'm going to put this up here, it's graphic, but we're all adults and we need to look at this. They're going to tell you, and we were just told this today by progressive mom, that showing this, I'm sorry, but this is in school libraries, 12 to our count now. We're being told that every gay child needs to see themselves in the curriculum. So you want us to believe that you are going to, as schools, segregate gay children away from the population while everybody's reading, STEM, literature, etc. You're going to say, but gay children, you're going to come over here and look at porn.
Sloan, can you put that graphic back up?
Yes. Unfortunately.
I'm sorry, Aaron. Close your eyes.
Sadly, I've seen worse. You guys have no idea what kind of stuff is on TikTok.
No. No. My point is about this. Why can't you show gayness, being gay, being whatever?
Yep.
Without showing fellatio between two men. I mean, I'm a straight person. I didn't have any books showing, vaginal intercourse.
No.
I mean, that's so I don't understand why this is necessary. Like people say we want to ban books. It's not banning books. It's just this isn't necessary. I think people know.
They're stealing innocence. You need to turn that back.
This is crazy.
Yeah. You're going to
take that graphic down. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're going to be called a lot. Homophobe, banning books. Let's address that because I want to address it before, during, and after what we're doing because I want you to stand on the truth. The truth is this is morally repugnant as evidenced by law after law after law reflecting that, right? So you've got to stand on the truth. They say that we're banning books, which is complete bullshit. I say that they're stealing innocence. Now, let me also present this to you. Here's a Charlotte middle school teacher who's arrested for child porn.
Child pornography.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We know now that this is a crime. And here's another thing, guys. Ask yourself why they had to draw those pictures instead of actually have the pictures there.
Right, because it's already illegal.
Because you'd be going to prison.
Right, and we've already established that, or actually, I'm not sure if this got ruled on, but there's been an ongoing debate recently about whether porn is protected speech, if that's a mode of speech.
It's settled law. It's settled law.
It is not.
Yeah, but so is being a pedophile, Sloan. But look how much pedophiles are being promoted.
I mean, that's the next step. As they get rid of women, the next thing, and they've been slowly trying to hinge this on is the MAPS, the minor attracted persons. And it's the exact same phrasing that was used for transgenderism and for normalizing homosexuality. And, from what I've seen, I have my own views. I don't agree with any of it at any level, but transgenderism and the MAPS is just a no-go from everybody unless you are in that in-group.
Yes.
And the fact that they're hitching themselves onto something that people are starting to come around to. Yeah.
Look, if you guys, if you are thinking about running for school board, right? You're thinking about doing anything. And in fact, if you're a good citizen and a good neighbor, you go into a minority neighborhood in particular. You go into a Hispanic neighborhood. You go into an Indian neighborhood. We've got a lot of Indians here. If you go into a Black neighborhood, you knock on their door and you show them that picture and then say, vote for me. That's the best get out the vote you can, because listen, these progressives want to split hairs about, but you're hurting gay children. A picture tells 1,000 words and not one of those damn words is good on this one.
Yeah. I mean,
those pictures. But here's the other thing: all those pictures show that I think too that if I was a gay man, that would upset me. Is all those pictures show is sexual gratification. It doesn't show anything about who those people might actually be. It's just about how they gratify each other or pleasure each other. And I have gay friends, and I can't believe I just said that. But I do have gay friends. I hate to say when people are like, oh, well, I know Black people. I have a Black friend. You know what I mean? Aaron knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I have gay friends, and that stuff drives them nuts because it's not what they're all about.
No.
My mother-in-law is from Spain, and she came over here and got her citizenship, and did it the legal way, whatever. And so she can't stand the people that come over illegally and just are able to come in. It's the same kind of thing, but just to show sexual gratification in the library for elementary and middle school children. Once again, that's the thing. Don't even think of it as a gay thing. Why are we showing sexual gratification to elementary kids and middle schoolers? I think if we break it down to that fundamental, the point gets across better than it's not about being against anything. It's just being for what's appropriate and at a certain age.
That's it. And Aaron, what were you saying? I mean, at some point I want you to tell your direct story about actually what happened in the school, because you have recent experience,
Yeah. And I'll definitely hop into that. But one thing I do want to point out is that as they're showing these students these little porn graphics, the books and whatnot, I just want to make sure that's understood that this is intentional. It's a mode. They can't show videos. They can't come to school showing pornographic videos, but they're teaching these kids and showing them something, which opens the door. With the internet now, you can find everything so easily. And by the time that someone is in like late high school, especially a boy, I've actually seen studies where they've gone through, even with Christian young men at Christian schools, by the time that they're a senior in high school, they've all been exposed to porn. They either have been exposed to it or they do actively watch it. And it's intentional. Once you get somebody hooked on something like that, it literally changes your entire brain structure. Like, you connect neural pathways based off of that. It takes away from your ability to have an actual loving relationship with a man or a woman in real life. And I mean, even the rates of erectile dysfunction in young men is so high right now, because they're seeing stuff like this at a young age. On average, young men are seeing porn for the first time at 10 or 11 on average now.
That's right. Yeah, dopamine levels, they're being conditioned to where they can find everything that they see online is like a fantasy world, and so they expect that when they get home, and when when they're older, and it's never going to live up to that.
And I think we have to be able to put this into the box to understand that it's a drug. Like, that's literally the best physical feeling that you can naturally get. And
and so it's gambling and gaming. And to your point, if you're exposing children to this stimuli, I mean, follow me on this one. Let's say, a 7-8-year-old has access to this and wants more of it, which is what we're talking about. And then they get to be, 14 and say, well, it's not okay to be gay because I'm being told it's not. I'm just going to change my gender. That goes against being who you are or who you choose to be. And again, everything we're talking about, let's redirect it. This is with government employees and government money grooming children. And I also want to point this out. So you're going to get this a lot, because I'm going to ask you to share this particular video on your website. You're going to get people doing this, as we had today. This sounds homophobic. How dare you, etc. What we did is this. We're going to put up $500 for anyone who will show us a video. We got to verify it's you. We want to see you reading this particular book to your child who's 12 or under. And we'll give you $500. The response we get is, no. Well, wait a minute. It's good for gay children, but not for your own. Bingo, you've outed them as a bigot. You're going to get that time and time again. They think this is the logic. Gay people should only be looking, to your point, Joe, at hardcore pornography. They don't deserve to read the rest of the stuff. And if straight children don't need it, why do gay people need it? And then you expose this as the BS it actually is.
It's so messed up, because this whole idea that kids have to see themselves in what they're reading or doing in school to be able to do something, that's ridiculous. There was not a Black Supreme Court justice before Thurgood Marshall. He did it. He didn't need to see someone do it. Barack Obama, all my issues with him, he didn't need somebody to be there looking like him to do it. CEOs, like there's just so many different things. You don't need to literally see someone do something that quote unquote looks like you to be able to do it. You just need to have the tools to be able to do it and the drive to go do it. So teachers need to be more focused on making sure that their students are equipped to go into the real world and know what they want to do, so that way they can go do it, instead of trying to just brainwash them into homosexuality or being an ally. That's not going to get you anywhere. What are you going to do with that?
Where they're sexualizing and racializing children. They're taking away the innocence. They're robbing the innocence. They're telling, white children 6 months old that you have original sin. You're born a racist. They're telling these children that you have the right to change your own gender. That automatically in and of itself is telling the child there is no God. We know that God doesn't make mistakes. This is just fundamental. And so when you're teaching them that, if you've got a not even a religious family, but a fairly traditional family, you're already teaching them to disagree with their parents and that there is no God, because God wouldn't make you a boy, right? If you're supposed to be a girl, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
I think the term transgender, I wonder when that was even created. The term cisgender was created in response to transgender, right? We create things that, no offense to anybody, but some of these things don't exist. What is the number of genders right now?
2.
There's furries.
Great answer. Yes, the answer is 2. But in terms of the media and the groups out there, and I understand
between
some
83
people.
and
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. I understand there's people out there that genuinely believe that they are something other than they are. But I think that percentage is very small. I think there is a larger percentage of people that have been taught and felt to be more socially acceptable, that they need to act like they're something that they aren't. But if you biologically have something down there, then that is what you are. And you can't force the rest of the public to say anything differently. And this whole, the pronoun stuff, my preferred pronouns are they, them, and we. That stuff just, I mean, you can't expect the entire world to understand that and just go along with it.
It's Marxist. So look at this BS. Scientific American. Why anti-trans laws are anti-science. Do you realize what absurdity? Do you understand where we are? Anti-trans laws are anti-science. What's anti-science is believing there are 32 genders or however many the hell. Basic science. If we cannot agree there are 2 science. And again, parents, when you speak out against this, you are on firm footing. And you can always offer what Joe just said, or Aaron, you might have said it. If you want to sexualize your children in your home with your money, great. Just don't get caught by social services. But do not come out here and call parents who are normal and trying to take care of their children. Don't call them a homophobe. And that's a way, by the way, to silence you. Don't let it happen. If you want to sexualize your own children, fine. But you can understand the shock and the horror of using government money in private space, in spaces where kids are a captive audience. You can understand why normal people would have a lot of shock.
That's why I always try to go back to the foundation of what something means. Like you just said, why anti-science? Well, what's the definition of science? Because right now people have science defined as Anthony Fauci. He is science, he said. But science right now is, well, if the scientists say something, then that's it. When science is not that at all. I mean, there's only so many scientific actual laws. Science is the discovery,
evolving,
the questioning of what is going on and what is happening. So to say something is anti-science is honestly an oxymoron. You can't be anti-science, because science is constantly questioning until you get to that actual scientific law, like something like gravity or something like that. I don't mean to get too heady about that, but Science is literally constantly questioning and evolving. So, which means it's impossible to be anti-science. But we've got the public; their minds are wrapped up that when somebody says it's science, then that must be fact. It's kind of like it's kind of like mandates right now. Well, it's a mandate. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It's a recommendation. It's not a law.
Right.
So anyway, sorry, go on.
No, those are really good points. And school, I feel like, is part of the issue that we have right now. A lot of students are pushed to go to college immediately after high school. And so without getting like that life experience and figuring things out for yourself, that's like almost 18 years of your life where you're literally just taking direction from someone else and you're depending on them for everything. And so you don't have the opportunity to realize that there is science outside of what the state sanctions. There are other doctors, there are other scientists that are working on these exact same things and always working to disprove each other. That's literally the whole point of science. You come up with a theory and you want someone to try to disprove it so you can find out whether it's true or not. But you said something that I thought was really important about our language, the words. I think, honestly, when it comes to words like homophobic, transphobic, I think we should just stop caring that people are using them and just go about our lives regularly, because they can say those words, but those words didn't exist until like 7 years ago. They're like, it doesn't really mean anything. And our language is based on words that describe things that are actually. So transgenderism is like this idea that you can change genders. It used to be transsexual. Now you'll get all people all up in their bunches about it if you use transsexual. But that was the word because it had to do with the actual process of that person realizing that they are not what they are trying to present as. And so they're getting surgery done to do that. Transgender now is like a social thing where it's like, oh, I may or may not actually go through with the surgery, but I'm now a man or a woman or something in between, honestly, depending on how I feel today. The way that they're using pronouns, making up new pronouns, that's a part of our language and how we understand things. If we were to go try and speak to someone in a different language using these fake pronouns, it wouldn't make sense because most languages, or at least in the Western world, are gendered. You can't go speak French or Spanish to someone using these fake genders. And I feel like we got to focus on those things to like ground people back into reality, that you can't just make up what you want to do. If you want to do that with your friends, go play Dungeons and Dragons and do that.
Sure.
But
we're at a point right now where the word supposedly.
Yeah.
It has been added to the dictionary last year, that supposedly, which drives me nuts when people say it supposedly instead of supposedly. That has been added to the dictionary as an acceptable pronunciation. That's the point we're at in our society.
Well, there's a political game, and it's the politics of deviance, and it's in art. It's part of Marxism, and the power to define is critically important, and it always has been. The power to define gay people, mentally ill, the power to define is a political process in and of itself. So what we're looking at is just a good old-fashioned power struggle, and one that we can't lose. We cannot lose. So remember that there's no truth that's inherently evil. The motive behind it. Let me give you an example. If your friend asks you if she looks like she's gained weight, the motive behind the truth telling, right? Or if you tell your friend that she looks like crap in the new glasses, it's the truth, but the motive is to hurt her feelings, right? We're not looking to hurt feelings. We're looking to speak truth because we're called upon to do so. It is our duty to speak this truth. So just remember that. And I want all of you guys to remember that. You can have 30 thick rolling up on you in the school board meeting of people shouting, etc. And you can only be one person, but you're standing on the truth. And when you speak it, Joe, you've been there. Aaron, you've been there. We've talked about this a lot. When you are a minority of any sort, Jewish, Black, our Muslim friends, and trying to do that and be conservative. It's It's very difficult to do that. So you get a little bit more used to it. But for moms and dads that are not used to that, you got to get a feel for it. It's not easy.
The earlier you label or define somebody, the easier they are to control. And that's exactly what this whole thing is about. And that's why they're, you had that genderbread man, which is just insane that somebody even came up with that.
It's everywhere.
The genderbread person. I'm sorry, I said man. I really screwed up saying man. The genderbread, cisgender, non-binary fluid person.
Starts in kindergarten.
Yeah, starting with
Aaron at least started in high school. Yeah, Aaron started in high school.
If you're going to make them label themselves and define themselves at that age, it just makes them easier to control. So that there is truly, I believe, a cradle to the grave government system, and they just want us to just follow along with whatever they say, and that's how you do it. And this is also how you separate families. These children come home and they're asking you questions where you're going, I mean, if I would have came home and said, Daddy, my heart says I'm attracted to this, and this down here says that I'm attracted to this, he would have taken his belt off and spanked me. Like, what are you talking about? So, anyways.
I grew up in a time, I'm sure
you got a troll on there, by the way, Slow.
We do. And this is a troll who actually is awaiting to be sentenced. And I want to bring this up for 4 felonies. And so, and I bring this up for a good reason, is that a lot of time, believe it or not, because they're letting criminals out because people are doing bad things out there, you're going to have a lot of immoral people who will troll school board meetings. And this particular guy has multiple felonies, as I understand, is introducing his children into transsexual lifestyle in his own home. So you guys, when you're talking about truth, these are the kind of things you'll get.
Yeah. Criminal and destroying his child early. That's disappointing. I kind of wish they were still in though, because I wanted to let them know the Proud Boys are lit. But that's a personal thing.
Oh yeah, This guy's all wrapped. People will be all wrapped up about the Proud Boys. I'll tell you why, Aaron. Because there are Proud Boys and Black Lives Matter and others, Americans, who are desperately trying to be a part of the solution, and they are looking to run for school board races. They are looking to, start getting civically minded. And so these son of a guns love to take on people that they disagree with. Aaron, Yeah,
those are the fun ones though, because in having those kind of conversations with people, you're never really going to break through with that person, but allowing them to give their opinions out loud and break them down in front of other people allows younger folks and people who might just be on the fence to be able to hear those things and come up to an informed decision in the end. But win some, you lose some. The point that I wanted to get to,
you're a kind young man. Go on.
Thank you. I grew up in a time where bullying was like it wasn't as big of a thing. It wasn't spoken about as much. There weren't all of these classes and teachers monitoring everything to make sure that everyone was nice to everybody all the time. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that there is a healthy amount of bullying that's necessary for just good development of children. You can get a good moral system out of that, defending other folks for things that are just inherent to them that they might get bullied for. Gay used to be a pejorative, and so there wasn't as many kids when I was in middle and early high school who were like, oh yeah, I'm gay. It wasn't cool. Now with this whole changing of it and everything being so gay and ally centered, I think that really plays into why kids are overwhelmingly saying that they're gay. I don't know if you guys know this, but most kids in Gen Z and millennials that identify as gay, they're bi. So they're like, oh, I'm somewhere in the middle. I like both. And, that seems like a pretty easy cop out to me for someone who's like, I actually don't really agree with this, but I want to be a part of the group because all of my friends are in the group.
Peer pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also this thing called demisexual. It's one of the new genders. And get this, the idea for demisexual means that you only have sex with someone that you love and care about, and it's a monogamous relationship. So basically, it's what marriage is traditionally supposed to be.
Never heard of it.
But now they're adding that into the LGBT. So it's like they're just finding different ways to literally add everything to the group. And so if you're not in the group, then you're hating everyone in the group. And some of these people they're not actually gay. And I think that's
yeah. So what you're talking about, let me set this up here, Aaron, is intersectionality. And this is, this is what they do. So we've seen this particular one came from a teacher. We have a lot of wonderful teachers, lots of them out there. Joe, you're married to a teacher, who see this and they're like, no, I'm not doing it. This is a 7th grade teacher out of Charlotte who was asked to do this for homeroom. You're asking children to, again, just what you said, Aaron, peer pressure themselves into saying, here's my privilege, here's not. And then what they're doing is they're stigmatizing themselves without knowing. And so if you're going to say, I do not have privilege, and you got to I don't even know what employment means, but you're going to check out all this stuff, you're going to lie and say, you're going to mix it up because you're not going to be that guy or that girl, right, who's on the left, because you may get your ass bullied.
I bet they make the kids share this publicly too, like with everyone else in the class.
I'd like to know what any kid actually wrote down for other. Modern utilities. I have privilege in my. So are they talking like
toilet running
internet?
Not an outhouse.
Well, first off, I apologize to both of you for being the most privileged person on this this podcast right now.
Damn you!
I apologize, Aaron. Sorry, Sloan. I'm not a minority.
Well, you're in Johnson County, so your geographic location is in the non-privileged category.
But once again, okay. So, what age group is this going to, Sloan?
This is 7th grade, but we've seen it. This is the youngest we've seen it. But what is 7th grade is like? My son is in 8th grade. He was in 7th grade at 11.
Yeah, it's like 10, 11.
Yeah. So just breaking it down again. What does this have to do with learning algebra, with learning about photosynthesis? What does this have to do with any of that?
Nothing.
I think that's the argument that you make to people. Because if somebody's saying that we should be doing this, then then tell me why. Is this going to make them a better reader?
Make the case for it. You're saying
what does this have to do with math? Yeah, this has nothing to do with anything that kids are supposed to be learning in school, and nothing at all. The only one that you might be able to say is if modern utilities means like internet access, and we have kids on virtual learning because of these stupid mask mandates, you might have an argument there. Other than that, what does this have to do with anything? Teach the kids how to be citizens. Teach the kids how to read and write and do math and know a little bit of science and be able to go out and get a job. That is the job of the school. This is not the job of the school.
I say take the kids out of the schools, and then the schools can figure out what they did wrong.
Bingo.
Well, they're still rewarding them, Aaron. I hate to break it to you, but that's not going to help. And another thing, and I know you're kind of just joshing, we definitely we want to rescue as many kids as we can out of the system, but we're Americans. We're not going to allow right under our noses a mass abuse of human rights with our own tax dollars and children. So no matter whose children it's in, and Aaron, you know this because you don't have children. And so you're in this fight to protect others from the abuse that you know.
Siblings and cousins. And even I love your kids, like just all the kids. You got to save the kids.
They're lovable.
They're awesome.
Yeah. Right.
I hate Sloan's kids. They're terrible.
They're hilarious. I don't know how, but like they learn sarcasm at such a young age, and they're great at it.
I don't know how they did that, Aaron. It's the damnedest thing. It's not my fault.
No, but really, there's so many kids that we have to save, and in doing so, like we can correct so many issues that that we have, because I love the country, but like there's stuff wrong. Kids are here learning about gay issues, and meanwhile all of our STEM jobs are going to people who are coming from out of the country and then leaving. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, even we couldn't get PPE because China's doing literally everything for us right now. They're buying all of the minerals in Africa, and so next time Apple wants to make some new phones, China's going to have the entire market on that. Meanwhile, our kids are over here arguing about whether or not they're a puppy or bisexual. Like we have serious things that we need to learn and be doing. If our kids can't do science, they can't do basic math, they can't fix a faucet or change a tire. We just taught my younger cousin how to change a tire on a car last weekend when I was on my way home from Georgia. Like, if kids can't do that by the time that they're in high school or leaving high school, we have way bigger problems than what they identify as.
So what do we need to do? I mean, so what, in other words, besides dealing with trolls, which I'm glad when we had an example, it's illustrative, but it does keep people back. Some people, we need to obviously speak about our duty to speak truth. We've got, the damnedest situation here, Aaron, where in North Carolina, we've got 12 districts at least that we know of. And they're like, damn the torpedoes. We're going to bring these books here. We're going to review them and we're going to say they need to stay here. In other words, they're like, damn the torpedoes. So what are we supposed to do? We're going to have to sue, right? We're going to have to sue for the right to have our children protected. But what are some of the other things that we absolutely need to do?
Well, there's definitely a legal aspect to it, but there's a social aspect to it, because before anything like really changes, you can change a law, but until the public is accepting that as something either positive or logical, then it's not going to happen. So we got to change hearts. So that comes from these kinds of conversations, door knocking, like you were saying about the city people running for city council. Get this information and go show parents what's actually happening, because we just saw in Virginia how that literally changed the trajectory of the entire gubernatorial election. Parents actually care about this kind of stuff because their kids are involved. We got to start, if you have the ability, creating media that promotes like traditional and godly values, so that way there's something that these kids can be involved in counter culturally to all of the gay stuff. Because whether it's the Marvel movies, which are billion-dollar movies every single time, whether it's just regular TV, like you see so much gay stuff on TV that you would think that at least half of the population is gay. They're literally in everything, and that's not the reality. And so kids are seeing that, they're probably thinking it is normal. You have to give them alternatives to that. Maybe I don't know what the churches are like in each of these areas, but some of these churches got to step up and have something going on at church, at mosque, at temple, where
they're doing this.
Students.
Listen, we have, this happened to us 10 or 12 years ago in Boston. We went to Friday night services, and the rabbi got right up on the bema, and literally second sentence was talking about gay issues. This is a family service. So we walked out. Because look, there's a time and a place. You're going to talk about this in front of kids. It's a political movement. People understand this, guys, and you have to understand it. It's a political movement. So it's not about sexuality. They want you to think that so they can shut you up and silence you.
Correct.
This is not a sensitive issue. This is politics. They're playing politics. We have to see it for what it is. We have to fight it and speak truth. And like I said, we got up and walked out. If you have to, Aaron, get up and walk out, you vote with your feet and do that kind of stuff. We had this Granada Parks who just said that.
Buncombe County, her husband. I saw that. Good luck.
Okay, it's going to be an uphill battle because there's a lot of crazies. I'm going to put this out there. I'm just wondering if we've got these books, Buncombe County there and there. Why don't you just let the books do the talking? Knock on the doors and say, look, can we all agree we need to protect our kids from this? That's why I'm running.
Well, yeah. Once again, if you're going to define somebody, an entire group of people over oral sex cartoons in a book, I mean, if I was a member of that group, I would be absolutely appalled, and I as the gay community would be saying, let's get these books out of here. I'm glad Aaron said something about God there. I think the removal of God and the Pledge of Allegiance and a lot of that from most schools. And the removal of God from the home, and really the removal of God from most churches now, where it's mostly it's more about self-love and being a better person and all of that. That's really tore us up. I think from a school level, one thing that could definitely be done, it's something that I'm pushing for, is to break down the county-wide public school system and narrow it down to each high school with their feeder schools coming up, and them all having their own district. The reason you would do that is, especially Johnson County is a large county. You've got different communities and groups that are all involved. With 7 people controlling 45 schools, if you had the communities more centered around their actual community, the people in that community actually centered around their community, I think ideas and conversations like we're having would get better traction than just trying to get over a large swath of a population. But God's definitely got to come back. I mean, God has to come back.
They don't want the Bible. What about banning the Bible? Say, okay, you can leave that book in there, but why don't you put like some Bibles in there and Thomas Sowell? I want all of his books in there.
That's one of the things that we do need, because like what they're pushing is a religion. Like it's an ideology, and so if you're promoting that, then you're doing the exact thing that you're saying that you don't want when it comes to religion in the classroom. And like, don't get me started on the separation of church and state, because like that's not even real. Yeah, it's BS that I was taught in a public school. So one of the many lies I was taught in public school. But like you were saying,
we salute you, sir.
Jonathan Pat, yes, very nice.
Getting rid of the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer in school was probably one of the earliest downfalls that they had in the public school system. When I was in middle school, we used to have students who would stand up and during the Pledge of Allegiance, so you didn't have to do the pledge, but instead of just not doing the pledge, we had students who would legitimately do the Nazi salute during the Pledge of Allegiance. And for like half of a year, they got away with doing it because it was protected speech. You're like, oh, this is free speech, so we can't really do anything. And then eventually, obviously, because it's hateful, they were able to get people to stop doing it. But like, if you can't respect the country that we're in, and we don't have a moral foundation that we can all agree on, then like what are we really doing here? Everything's going to fall apart. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, this is an American experiment. It's called an experiment because it's a democracy if you can keep it. And again, being silent, you're doing your part to destroy this experiment, period. Being silent, not wanting to rock the boat, afraid you're going to get fired, whatever. This is how we lose the country. So I want to impress upon you, there is no truth. Everything we said here tonight is true. It is not immoral. It's proper. You have got to say it boldly and often so that others can hear you say it. It's really important that you get that. You cannot keep it to yourself and say, I passively agree. You have to boldly agree. We're about to lose this country. We're doing everything we can. We can't make any guarantees, but we cannot do it alone. This right here, this is an important issue, and it's one worth absolutely standing up for. This is a political movement. It's not only our children. You saw that a poor child there, and that's one of many that tried to kill themselves. It's not only for the children, it's for our country. You have to do it.
Yeah, we can't neglect the fact that within the transgender community, the rate of suicide is so much higher than in any other group, whether it's a minority group, whether it's slaves during slavery, Jews during the Holocaust, it's exponentially higher. So what is the idea behind trying to get students to go into a lifestyle where inevitably at least half of them are going to try to kill themselves? Like that, you're destroying their bodies, you're destroying their psyche, and then ultimately you're going to destroy their souls in this entire process. Like, it's so high, the suicide rate.
I'm looking that up now. I'm going to get it up on the screen. But I mean, you're right. If we know that it's high, then why are we doing this? And another thing, many gay friends that I've talked to, and you can actually read about this. When you out a gay person before they are ready, which all these surveys, all these classroom exercises, that's what it seeks to do. That causes suicide at a very high rate as well. Not good.
What are they prepping for? If this is such a normal and easy part of their lives, why is there so much prep? You gotta ask these questions.
Well, and I would also say to people, when you're having conversations about any of these issues, to just go back and try to break it down to the foundation. Like earlier, we were talking about anti-science and things like that. Just what does transgenderism mean? What is a cisgender? Just don't let somebody. You can't get emotional. You can't talk about things like that because you're going to lose every time. You got to keep it on facts and foundation, and just have a very civil conversation. I don't think anything that we've said.
They're not going to be civil. They're not going to be civil.
I know they're not. But you have to remain civil is what I'm saying. Like I said, I don't think anything that we're saying here tonight is divisive in any way. We're just trying to figure out, hey, what is the problem? What are some possible solutions to it? And to move forward. Oh, you put up the Trevor Project. I was looking at this earlier.
Yeah, so here's a statistic. And this is bad. So LGBTQ youth between the ages of 13 and 24 attempt suicide every 45 seconds in the U.S. So, suicide with anyone is bad, particularly youth. And so, again, outing gay children before they are ready, that is a very dangerous thing to do, period. These classroom exercises, they almost mandate it. Did you see in one of those surveys, how many damn times did they ask a child if they were gay? I counted 4 or 5 in a row, right? I mean, can you imagine how psychologically damaging that is? And you're asking them to do this, by the way, before coming out of the parents, probably.
At some point after the second or third time you see that too, you might start questioning yourself going, gosh, I don't think I'm gay, but maybe I should be. Is that why they keep asking me this question?
That's grooming.
Yeah.
That's called grooming.
Yeah. And conditioning. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we know that there's a problem, it's not up to the schools to open that wound or create the wound. That's the issue. Again,
the school has nothing to, I don't understand why this has anything to do with anything at school.
It doesn't. It literally does not.
But that's the whole argument, is what I'm saying. That's the entire argument to people when they're like, well, you're trying to ban books and you're trying to not, do this for my child. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not your child's psychologist or counselor or anything else. I'm teaching them how to read. My wife's an English teacher. She doesn't hardly ever teach English. Anymore, it's they're being made to taught, world events and social things. And so, this has nothing to do with what kids are supposed to be doing every day when they go to school. And that is the argument. And I think that's how you really win on that. What does this have to do with anything that these children are supposed to be doing every day? I don't care how many genders my 8-year-old thinks there are in the world. I don't care if my 8-year-old thinks that they have privilege because of their geographic location or whatever else. And I don't care if you care about that. And it's not your right to collect that data on them. Can you teach them that 3 + 5 is 8? Thank you very much.
I'm curious about the whole gender thing in the first place, because with gender, there's this whole idea of recent years of gender being separate from sex. And so you're born male or female, but then gender is a social construct based around that. And like I'm trying to think of any other thing that is a part of your physical being where we allow people to be like, yeah, there's a social construct around that thing that you get to decide personally. I can't be like, you know what? I was born black, but I'm pretty sure I'm actually Asian, and I'm just going to be Kim Jong-un for the rest of my life. I can't do that because socially it's not acceptable. I can't say, you know what? I'm 6 foot, but I think I identify as 8'2", so I want to go to the NBA now. You can't do that. So why is it with gender that we're allowing people to this?
I'll give you an example.
Because it's a political movement. It's a Marxist movement to take out the patriarchy. That is why. This is it. They got to break down the family. We know that. Part of it is taking down the patriarchy. Part of it is what we've always talked about, feminizing men. But this is Marxist.
I was just going to say, I'll give you an example of another time that I've seen that happen. There are people that believe that they are blind, that aren't blind, and they will literally put bleach in their eyes to make themselves blind.
Hysterical blindness?
And they're called trans disabled. No, it's called trans disability. People have had their cut their ears off and damaged their eardrums and stuff, so that because they identified as deaf.
Yeah, but
I mean that's obviously to call it anything other than a mental illness.
Yeah,
would be.
And it was until recently. Look, it was until recently, and then you got this BS from Scientific American and others saying, "Oh my gosh, it's anti-science." Well, I would argue that it's anti-science saying that there are a multitude of genders. But, you know, look, everything is politicized. We do not need to politicize childhood because real life consequences, as evidenced from this lawsuit, are happening. We also saw, I mean, God, every day teachers get arrested for grooming. Do you actually want a guy like that sex offender I just put up there teaching your children about giving their surveys, Aaron discussing it out loud, or presenting the gingerbread man? So, and no, by the way, there are a lot of folks that believe, in fact, I just had a very lengthy discussion with a woman who's on the other side of the aisle, Black Lives Matter. I mean, true CRT aficionado. She's the real deal. And I told her this. I said, you guys can't even have your own civil rights movement anymore. She goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, BLM. Now it's a trans and a gay movement. She goes, yep. And I said, critical race theory. Well, the only problem with that is that Black and brown students still aren't going to learn how to read, and it's going to become worse. And she thought and didn't say anything. And I said, tell me how I'm wrong. So people that really want to think about this, do you know what I mean? They understand that there are groups that are being kind of held out there and abused all in the name of civil rights. And it's not that.
Well, think about women. Think about women's rights. Well, we haven't talked about that at all.
I mean, we don't even deserve,
women's sports.
We don't even deserve to have our own names on the bathroom anymore. No. That's how regressed our lives are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And trying to get rid of the patriarchy, we're just going to get rid of all the women. So, bye, son.
Hey, I'm not going any damn where. And I think y'all know that. But you know, it's remarkable that, again, the women that are pushing this that I've seen, you will not find a lot of minority women. It's the white progressive women who are pushing.
Moms.
What's the deal with that? Yeah.
You know,
I don't know.
There's I feel bad saying this, because I told my girlfriend this like months ago, and you know, she luckily is not, thank God, I'm not even going to put that on luck, thank God she's not one of these types of people, but college educated white women are like going to be the end of this country. I kid you not. It will be them standing in the backs of angry Black women, and they will burn all of this to the ground. I promise you.
We need to see the return of some angry Black women here then. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I have this the trope of the angry black woman. It comes from this feminization of men, because when men aren't doing their rightful role, producing and taking care of their family, women have to stand up and do that. And so after decades, you talk about, you know, the whole upbringing of the baby mama, and
Wow.
yeah, no, when you have decades of this going on over and over, women in the black community have now developed this thing where it's like, I know I have to provide for myself and my family because this man may or may not be here, or maybe I'm telling him to leave so I can get that extra check. And so now they're hyper masculine. Men don't feel a need to do anything.
That's right. White progressive women are that way. Okay, because
don't have to do that.
Because listen, and by the way, there is no such thing of passive aggressive. It's aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see or sense passive aggressive stuff, I go off. So if you think you're being gaslit, you are. But I mean, just think about how angry that these people are. Look, I mean, we get trolls all the time, and you will. I'm only telling you this, guys, because when you put this stuff out there, you're going to get it. If I don't like something, I don't look at it.
Right.
But I'm damn sure not going to go troll someone. Just think about the level of anger that it takes to show up at school boards and don't even have kids up in there, giving people a piece of your mind and trying to further this stuff. So you may be onto something. The anger burning in women, and I'm a woman, I'm going to tell you, it's real. It's not here, but it's real. It's from men not pulling their own weight.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. And so you know, I'm trying to figure out why my wife's always mad at me then, because I'm just
that's hard to figure out.
The dishes, Joe. It's the dishes. I promise you. She doesn't notice.
My husband loves doing the dishes and folding laundry, and I'm a very happy woman.
No, I never thought about that. I mean, because obviously there's the statistics out there about the black family and the male not being in the household and all of that. I never thought about what you just said. That is very interesting. The suburban mom, I don't know. Maybe it's maybe they feel like they're supposed to be more involved in something. I'm talking about the white suburban mom that everybody has said, I mean, you know, swings very left. I don't know where that's coming from.
Well, it's the colleges. So in college, if not in high school, going into, when you get to college, you will be inundated with so much Marxism. You're going to be told that feminism is the way, and that the patriarchy is keeping you down from everything, that you're not making the same amount of money, even though statistically young women, when they graduate from college, are actually making more than their male counterparts in that first job. You're being told that you're going to get raped everywhere that you go, and you know, 2A, so you won't get raped, but you know, like that there's a rape culture that normalizes it. There's so many things. They just tell them that everything happening is a problem.
Everything is their fault. Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, I mean, it's divisive if you listen to it. But you know, suburban housewife, let me tell you something. You can't fool Mother Nature. So you can try to tell women that they need to be, you know, the man of the family. They need to wear pants, etc. I'm very traditional. There really can only be one boss in the house, and that's really the way to get along. And I will tell you that when women do, you are right, Aaron. When they get the sense that they're pulling more weight, but I'm not talking about dishes and stuff like that. What you're talking about is something very fundamental, and it's that if you're you know, not going to work, and if you're going to do these things, and I think we're seeing less and less men actually go into college. I think the rate has plummeted, correct? So and so you're right that it's a culture problem, and Blexit, you guys are very culture focused, which is why you are the solution here. But yeah, we're going to be breeding more discontent, and guess what? Women aren't cut out to be the ones to fight wars. So you got a bunch of, you know, angry women and a bunch of guys that are hiding under their desk from an invisible enemy. I've seen more of that than the men wearing the mask. By the way, men aren't meant to be worried about colds and stuff like that. It's the wives that are supposed to be chasing the husbands out saying, honey, you forgot your, you know, scarf. You're going to get a cold. But we're seeing the roles flipped. even over the COVID thing.
I just want to say the numbers of men going into college is going down drastically. I personally don't think this is a bad thing, though. I think
Yeah, I was going to say, when you say college, do you mean college altogether, or are you not talking about trade schools or anything?
Not talking about trade schools.
So you're just talking about a liberal college,
yeah,
liberal
like getting a liberal education, yeah. And so I think this is a good thing because
me too.
We do need more men going into trades. I'm working on going to a trade school right now.
Okay.
I'm going to be a plumber. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to fix somebody's toilet, fix somebody's piping in their house.
Make $40 an hour.
Yeah. Like there's an opportunity for men to really learn how to do things with their hands and like become Chads. Plus, the way that the education system is built, it's built for women. The way that we sit in our desks and it's just regurgitating answers. You're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to move around and actually do things. Even down to like everything up until standardized testing is literally built for women. And so when women are doing well in school and you're seeing all of these women graduating, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't think college is for everyone. It used to be for like the elites, you know. It's like, oh, we know that you're really good at this thing. We're going to help you be the best at it. Everyone else is going to go learn how to do something useful for society. Because like college isn't really that useful. Most people I know, they don't use their degrees. Like if you have something like that you need to specialize in, it makes sense. But other than that, like if you're not going to go specialize in something, then I'm like, you're about to waste $100,000 and have fun paying that off. Because I'm not voting for anybody who's about to go ahead and like excuse that for you.
Aaron, what do you think about this comment?
Government is the daddy. It so creates single. Yep. Yeah. And see the issue. I fully agree that is on target. Yeah. Govern me harder, daddy. That's what they say basically. It's like, oh, I need that extra money in my pocket for not doing anything. When in actuality, if you go work a job, you'll make more money than the government's going to give you. More money than the government's ever going to give you because the government doesn't have money. We give the government money.
Oh yeah, it's our money.
Taxes.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I mean we've had a lot of good conversation, a lot of things. Again, truth is not evil. Truth is not offensive. And so you've got to be able to speak it. Now, I would encourage all of you guys, because I know a lot of you on here have been running for office. You're going to run for office, and there's always a debate about, gosh, how often do I let people talk trash on my page, right? How much do we take? How much is discussion? I'm doing a new thing, and I tried it tonight. It's been working well so far. When you get trolls, because I tell you this because you're going to be speaking truth, right? You will put it on the page. If you do that again, I'm going to put you in a timeout. If you're not able to participate in civil discussions, then you will be removed for 30 days, and then we'll see how you do. You need to treat them like children. I felt good doing it, Aaron. I was like, you know what?
I know it ate them up too. They couldn't.
They loved it. I was like, look, you got to learn how to behave. And these are 2-year-olds, right?
What I like doing, because I've been trying to use Twitter more. And so like what I like to do is when people will DM me something like really weird or really stupid, like, oh, you're racist or you promote anti whatever. I just send them a picture.
Yeah.
Like, I send them a meme or like a picture. I don't really send them words, but they'll like try to deduce down what I'm talking about from the picture. So like if sometimes it's like one of these really weird looking lefty people, and I'll just like screenshot their profile picture and send it to them. And they'll be like, oh, you think you hurt me by doing that? I'm like, I literally didn't say anything. It's just that picture. But they're so cerebral. They think that there's
no sense of humor.
Greater meaning. Just let them eat themselves up.
Well, they're actually, they're not cerebral. But I know what you're saying.
They're trying so hard to just think through everything. They're trying to be a step ahead.
I'm not going to give you any of my secrets or tips, because then the people that are trolling me all the time will find out what I'm doing.
Oh yeah. Well, you know why I'm sharing this, and I want to be very clear about this, because we got some great feedback that we absolutely have to start giving people what to do, best practices, etc. So we're asking you to share this video from tonight. The least we could do, right, is also tell you how you're going to handle it when you've got people that don't know how to act. So I want to show you, now that we're talking about this, My all-time favorite meme to send to somebody, I am going to let this out of the bag. Hold on. Okay, wait. Ready for it?
I wonder how many people bring in.
That's pretty good. Yeah, right. They're like, wait, I don't see it.
And then you feel like almost self-conscious about yourself, right? So that's a good one. But
that is a good one.
Be your go-to. And a lot of people running for school board, which we always want to encourage, is blood sport, right? You've got to have some pattern and practices. So it's speaking truth, and it's handling 2-year-olds.
I will say one thing that I do if I am worried that somebody has probably created another profile.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. So somehow they can. Whenever they send me something or whatever, I will always send them a message saying, I'd love to meet you in person for coffee. Let's have a phone call or meet for coffee or whatever, because that will immediately let me know. Well, no, I just want you to, we need to message through here, and no, let's meet in person, and that typically gets them off of me pretty quickly.
Here's another one. If somebody wants to go off and be cerebral, I think somebody said, Aaron, you might have said they're cerebral, and they really want to wax poetic. Usually they want to wax poetic, right, about why the book should be in there, why we're stupid. So they'll go on and on. Here's another meme. And I'll be glad to share this with you. You can do what I call the Hunter Biden special. You can always do that.
What is that?
Now, if you're running,
I don't know what it is, but I did know what it was.
If you're running for school board, probably not. But if you're out there in the Twitter jungle of doing all this stuff, in other words, you're telling them, you're out of your mind, and that's how you handle it. We've gone.
We went from transgenderism to crack pipes.
Well, the reason why I'm going to work it on in is that we found out today. Wow. Okay. See, Suze, you love my thought process. We've been told today that tons and tons of money is going to provide crack pipes to people all over the country now.
Yeah.
That is a strong component of the budget. And so, this is why I put it in there. They call it harm reduction, which brings us back to the kind of gaslighting that you're going to get. Providing a means by which drug addicts can proliferate all over this country, giving them no help, hurting them more. It's called harm reduction.
Mm-hmm. So now
they also have special rooms for them that they can go in and do the crack pipe as well, so that they're safe while they get high. And
yes,
yeah,
and then they won't OD. Alone,
well, that's good.
At least.
Yeah.
It's coming to schools. Look, this stuff under the Biden administration is coming to schools like that. So we're seeing it, etc. So that meme, while it might be controversial 2 minutes ago, now that I've explained it in the right frame, it's not so controversial, is it? It's happening.
Well, the fact that what Aaron brought up a long time ago, about an hour ago, was the MAPS, the minor attracted person. What's the S? Or is it just they're just called MAPS, minor attracted persons? Yeah. The fact that is, to me, more than anything of what we've talked about, that's what makes me the most sick to my stomach. That is something that is
and they're working
trying to be made acceptable.
Yep.
That you're a minor attracted person, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we've got groups for you to go talk to, and we'll help you through this. And no.
It's
so the point is, what else? There's no conversation. You can't talk to anybody
that's
about
my
something
point.
like that if they think that's okay.
Do not be baited. My point exactly. Do not allow yourself to be baited in these conversations when people, not even trolls, but people you're talking face to face with, say that you're trying to ban books. We showed you a couple of times what we're talking about here. It's absurd. Don't waste your time and breath teaching them that it's absurd. Yep. They're absurd.
And teach people what science is, because you're going to hear anti-science over and over and over. Let people know what science is. Science is the constant discovery and questioning of knowledge. unless it is a scientific law, like I said, something like gravity, stop letting people get away with saying that crap. I'm so sick of it because it applies to almost everything that we're talking about. Well, you're anti-science.
But okay, use a meme.
No.
You know, Angry Days, you're so right. Mockery. Mockery is the coup de grace. That is how you get them. They'll put up, oh, you're homophobic and you're banning books, etc. You put up the clown meme and move along.
Yep.
Don't get emotionally. Yeah, don't waste your time. Saul Alinsky did Angry Days. He taught that too. So we're gonna wrap it up. I mean, I'm having a good time, so it's easy to go on and on. But
Aaron, it was great meeting you.
It was nice meeting you as well, Joe.
Aaron, what can we do?
Okay, talking to you.
So yeah. I mean, if we must, right? Aaron, give us one concrete thing that a person who is minimally involved can ease their way into as far as standing up for the truth for our kids.
If you want to ease your way into it, it might that's so slow. I guess if you want to ease your way into it, just have these conversations with the people around you. You don't necessarily have to go out and get on your soapbox in front of like just all the random people, but you know, if you have a relationship with your next door neighbor or a friend of yours, or you know, even like a cousin or a relative, just have these conversations and let them know what's going on, because they might not know. And as hard as that is for us to believe sometimes, because we're all in it, there's a lot of people who really just don't know and feel like nothing is going on and it's all just happening under their nose.
Yeah, make your circle small. So if you've got friends at work, etc., do not feel like this is taboo. Greg wants to say hello, Aaron. I'm going to call you. Joe, you're going to be Balake, and I'll be D Nice or Jaqueline.
Okay. I just posted that the other day, the East-West All-Star game from
Oh, that was
a Fudge was one guy's name.
Yeah, we've been watching go ahead. Sorry.
I know. I was just going to say, I'll give you my one concrete thing is to not live in fear.
Mm-hmm.
Don't live in fear. And I heard something a few years ago at a sermon when we were talking about how can I go out and talk about the gospel to somebody when I don't feel like I'm worthy to, myself. And the pastor said, remember, God's going to prepare the words for you. And God's also going to prepare the listener's ears. So if you go out there without any fear and just know that you're being prepared to say, and I don't like to say argue, but, the words will come out. Don't worry about the person that you're talking to, because God's going to prepare them as well. So just don't live in fear. It would be my number one concrete thing to do to try to get involved somehow. Just don't live in fear.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah, you absolutely have to. And I'm going to leave you with this. And I posted it. I was happy to see that it really got traction on my Facebook. Not that I look and, live or die by that, but it was a quote. Let me get this up here. Just remember this as you're doing exactly that. Shoot. Hold on. Wait a second. As you're doing that, I want you to remember this. Let me get it up there.
You can do it.
I can do it.
Sloan, I can't hold this face for much longer.
Okay. All right. Your cheeks hurting. All right. Most haters are vocal. Most supporters are silent. So keep doing what you do. Someone is watching and cheering for you. Someone's learning from and supporting all you do.
That's right.
Yeah, remember that fear doesn't belong in the kingdom of God. He does not want you to be fearful, because if you are, that means you ain't got no faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So, all right, well, have a great night. Thank you for joining us. And
can I do one plug before we go?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Any students or young folks who are on here, follow all of our social medias with the Blexit Student Movement at Blexit Students. It's BLEXIT Students and that's on all social media platforms. And if you're of any age and you're just interested in what's going on, follow me on Instagram or all the other things. It's the word AT at Aaron Alexander.
And you do not have to be Black to join Blexit.
You do not have to be Black to join Blexit.
You could be an ally.
I can join Blexit?
You could join Blexit if you wanted to.
Well, there is an age requirement, right? It's got to be.
Hey, slow. That was not. Come on now.
He doesn't look that old.
Hey, Aaron, great meeting you, man. You're a great young man. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you, sir.
I appreciate it. Likewise, and I will be looking up your stuff for your race, and I'm excited to see what I find out.
Appreciate it, buddy. Sloan, thank you.
Thank you. Have a